God says, your dad in heaven has an urgent beloved. Pause for a moment and listen, not with the ears of the flesh, but with the ears of the Spirit, because heaven is speaking, and the voice of your Father is calling you right now with urgency. This is not an ordinary whisper. It is not a casual reminder. It is the stirring of eternity within you, a divine push that cannot wait for tomorrow. Your dad in heaven has seen what lies ahead. He knows the path you are standing on, and he is declaring that the time to awaken, the time to rise, the time to step into what has already been prepared for you is now. Too long have you delayed, too long have you doubted, too long have you believed the lie that you are unworthy. But hear this urgent call. Your inheritance is waiting, your breakthrough is at hand, and your Father is reminding you that he did not bring you this far to leave you empty. Heaven is not distant, it is within you, and the message of your dad is clear. Stop looking outward for permission and recognize the power he has already placed inside you. What he urgently desires is for you to believe, to act, and to step into the fullness of who you are in him. God says, your dad in heaven has an urgent, the voice within is the voice of heaven beloved. Let us go deeper into this mystery, because the first thing you must understand about your dad in heaven is that he does not speak to you from some faraway sky, nor from a throne hidden in a distant galaxy, but from the silent sanctuary of your own being. His voice is not thunder shaking the earth, but the quiet stirring in your imagination, the sudden conviction in your heart, the gentle yet undeniable nudge that tells you, this is the way, walk in it. The voice of heaven is nearer than your breath, closer than your heartbeat, and yet so many miss it because they are waiting for signs in the clouds, waiting for dreams in the night, or waiting for someone else to tell them what God has already whispered directly to them. The urgency of heaven is not about warning you of disaster, but awakening you to destiny. Your Father speaks inside you, and he calls you to believe that the inner world is the truest world, that what you see within with faith is more real than what you see outside with fear. This is why the message is urgent, because if you keep ignoring the inner voice, you will live bound by appearances, and the outer world will continue to master you instead of you mastering it. Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to realize that the kingdom has never been outside of you, it has always been within. When you doubt the whisper within, you deny the very power of heaven to flow through your life. The voice within is not imagination playing tricks on you. It is imagination revealing truth, because imagination is the creative power of God at work in his children. Think of it. Every time you dream, every time you picture your life changing, every time you hold a vision of a better tomorrow, that is not just your mind wandering, that is heaven calling. That is your dad planting the seed of destiny in the garden of your heart. But you must water it with faith. The urgency is this. Stop dismissing those inner nudges as mere thoughts. Stop silencing the whisper because you think it is too small, too unrealistic, too impossible. That whisper is the voice of your Father, and he is saying, I have already gone before you, I have already opened the way, I have already prepared the table. Why are you still waiting at the door of unbelief? Beloved, the reason so many feel disconnected from heaven is not because God has stopped speaking, but because they have tuned their hearts to the noise of the world instead of the stillness of the Spirit. Your dad is not shouting over the chaos. He is calmly waiting for you to turn inward, to quiet the storm of doubt, and to hear him where he has always been inside you. This is why Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. It was not a metaphor, it was the truth. The urgent call from heaven right now is that you stop chasing voices outside and start trusting the voice within. For when you recognize that the voice within is heaven itself, you will no longer look for confirmation in circumstances. You will no longer beg for signs. You will no longer wander from place to place hoping to find direction, because you will have discovered the greatest secret, the Father and you are one. This changes everything. It changes how you pray, because you no longer plead for answers. You align with the answer already spoken inside. It changes how you see delays, because you realize they are not punishments but preparations. It changes how you handle fear, because you now know fear is only the echo of a lie, while faith is the vibration of truth. Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to stop treating his voice as optional. to stop silencing it with excuses, and to stop giving more power to the outer evidence of lack than to the inner assurance of abundance. The voice within is not vague, it is specific. It tells you when to move, when to wait, when to let go, when to hold on. It tells you to forgive when your flesh wants revenge. It tells you to believe when your eyes see nothing. It tells you to rise when the world says you are finished. It tells you to speak life when everyone around you speaks defeat. And the urgency of heaven is that you obey quickly, because delay is dangerous. Every moment you delay obedience to the inner voice, you give the outer world permission to dominate your life. But when you obey immediately, when you align with what the Father is speaking within, you will see miracles, you will see doors swing open, you will see enemies fall without you lifting a finger, you will see provision flow where once there was only lack. Child of God, your Dad in heaven is not distant. He is present, and his urgency is not panic but love. It is the Father saying, you are ready now, you are capable now, you are chosen now. Act as if it is already done, because in my world it is. Listen carefully, the inner voice is not just guidance, it is creation. When you accept it, you create. When you doubt it, you delay. When you ignore it, you deny yourself the inheritance already yours. So, today, hear the urgency of heaven and respond. Align your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions with the inner conviction he has planted in you. Your Dad in heaven has an urgent message. Stop looking outward, start looking within, because the kingdom, the power, and the glory are not coming to you. They are already in you, waiting to be expressed through you. Beloved, hear this with the ears of your spirit. Urgency is not fear. Urgency is not panic. Urgency is not heaven trying to rush you into chaos. Urgency is the signal of destiny, the reminder from your Dad in heaven that the appointed time has come, that the seed he planted long ago is ready to sprout, and that what has been delayed is now demanding birth. Too often when people feel that stirring, that sudden press in their hearts, they confuse it with anxiety. But this is not anxiety. It is alignment. It is heaven's call telling you that hesitation is no longer an option. Think about it. When a mother carries a child, there is a moment when labor comes, and no matter how much she wants to delay it, no matter how unready she may feel, the baby cannot remain hidden. It must come forth. In the same way, when heaven places urgency upon you, it is the labor pain of your destiny announcing itself. It is time for delivery. Your Dad in heaven urgently wants you to know that what he placed in you years ago, the dreams you buried, the prayers you prayed, the visions you once believed but allowed doubt to choke, they have reached maturity, and now you are feeling the pressure of destiny. That pressure is not against you. It is for you. Do not run from it. Do not silence it. Do not numb yourself to it. The urgency you feel in this season is heaven's alarm clock telling you that the hour of manifestation has struck. Every time you feel restless, every time you sense that something must shift, every time your spirit cries that you cannot remain where you are, that is not weakness. It is the voice of destiny saying, move, for the moment is now. The world will try to lull you back into delay, to say wait until next year, wait until things get easier, wait until people approve. But your Dad in heaven is saying the opposite. Do not wait, for waiting has already stolen too much from you. Step now, believe now, act now. Beloved, heaven's clock does not tick like man's clock. Heaven has no delay, heaven has no confusion, heaven is always on time. What feels urgent to you is simply heaven revealing the appointed hour. Look back over your life. Every time you ignored urgency, you fell into regret. But every time you obeyed it, you stepped into new levels. That urgency that will not let you sleep, that conviction that rises in the middle of the night, that fire that burns in your chest even when your mind tries to silence it, that is not madness. It is the Father's message. It is the Spirit's push. It is destiny's signal. Do not misinterpret it. Many bury it under excuses, saying they need more signs, more confirmations, more resources, more strength. but heaven says, everything you need is already inside you. That is why I am urging you, because if it were not in you already, I would not call you now. Hear me, urgency is heaven's guarantee that you are ready. You may not feel ready, but feelings are liars. You may not look ready in the eyes of others, but appearances deceive. Your readiness is not measured by what you see outside, but by what heaven has already placed within. The moment you feel urgency, it means the resources, the wisdom, the strength, the faith, and the grace are already prepared and waiting for your obedience. Think of Moses at the Red Sea. To the natural eye it looked too late, it looked impossible, it looked like doom, but urgency came. Stretch out your hand, he obeyed, and the waters parted. Think of David facing Goliath. To everyone else it looked premature, it looked foolish, it looked reckless, but urgency came. Go now, face him now. He obeyed, and victory was won. Think of Esther before the king. To the fearful it looked risky, it looked deadly, it looked unwise, but urgency came. If you remain silent at this time, deliverance will come from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. Who knows if you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this? She obeyed, and her people were saved. Beloved, urgency always signals destiny. It may feel uncomfortable, it may defy logic, it may stretch your faith, but it is heaven's signal that the appointed time has arrived. Do not ignore it, for ignoring urgency is forfeiting destiny. How many people live their entire lives stuck in cycles of delay because when urgency came they reasoned it away? How many let fear choke their obedience, only to look back years later wishing they had listened? Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to know that your moment is now, not tomorrow, not when everything looks perfect, not when others clap for you. Now is the only time heaven works with. If you want to see miracles, obey urgency. If you want to see breakthroughs, honor urgency. If you want to step into the fullness of destiny, move when urgency calls, for urgency is destiny's trumpet. Beloved, urgency is not cruelty, it is love. Your dad in heaven presses on you urgently because he knows what is ahead. He sees the doors that will close if you wait. He sees the opportunities that will pass if you delay. He sees the harvest that will rot if you refuse to reap. When urgency grips you, it is heaven saying, this window will not remain open forever. This moment is ordained. Seize it now. Do not let the enemy trick you into slumber. Do not let procrastination steal your inheritance. Do not let excuses bury your calling. The Father's urgency is proof of his care. It means he has not forgotten you, he has not abandoned you, he has not left you wandering. He is actively guiding you into destiny, and the urgency is his way of saying, child, I trust you are ready, rise and walk into it. So what must you do? Silence the voices of doubt, align yourself with the whisper of the Spirit, and move boldly. You may not see the whole road, but obedience to urgency always unlocks the next step. You may not have the crowd with you, but you do not need the crowd. You have the cloud of heaven with you. You may feel weak, but obedience will release strength you did not know you carried. The urgency you feel today is not random. It is heaven's confirmation that you are standing at the threshold of breakthrough. Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to believe that, to act on that, and to step into that. This is not the season to delay. This is not the season to negotiate with fear. This is not the season to play small. This is the season to obey urgency, because urgency is destiny's signal, and your destiny is calling you now. Beloved, hear this with all the fire of your spirit. Your dad in heaven has not withheld anything from you, for he already gave you your inheritance before you even entered this world. And the urgent cry of heaven today is not that you must beg, not that you must struggle, not that you must wait for permission, but that you must awaken and claim what has always been yours. Too many live as beggars when they are heirs. Too many live in lack while holding the keys to abundance. Too many live in fear while carrying the authority of heaven within. The inheritance of a child is not something earned. It is something received by birthright, and your birthright as a child of God is favor, peace, joy, provision, wisdom, power, and victory. Yet why do so many live empty? It is because they have believed the lie that they must strive for what has already been given. Imagine a wealthy father writing a will that leaves everything to his children, yet those children live in poverty because they never read it, never believed it, or never stepped forward to claim it. That is how many live. Heaven has written your inheritance, your dad has spoken his promises, yet you live as though you are still waiting for him to decide. Beloved, the urgency of heaven right now is this: stop living beneath your birthright. Your inheritance is not in the future, it is here, it is now, it is already waiting for you to rise into it. The blessing is not delayed, the provision is not hiding, the breakthrough is not locked in heaven. It is already released, and your job is to believe and to align. The enemy's greatest tactic is not stealing your inheritance, but blinding you to it. If he can convince you that you are poor when you are rich, weak when you are strong, lost when you are found, then he has already won without touching your inheritance at all. But your dad in heaven urgently says, open your eyes, child. Do not live as though you are abandoned when you are beloved. Do not act as though you are empty when you are overflowing. Do not walk as though you are powerless when my spirit lives in you. Your inheritance is waiting, but it is only activated by recognition. You must recognize who you are, whose you are, and what has been given to you. Recognition births possession. Beloved, think of the story of the prodigal son. When he returned to his father, broken and empty, ready to beg for scraps, the father did not treat him as a servant, but as a son. He placed the robe of honor on him, the ring of authority on his hand, and the shoes of identity on his feet. That is inheritance. Even when he had wasted everything, the inheritance of sonship remained. The Father urgently says to you, you may think you are unworthy, you may think you have wasted time, you may think you are too late, but my inheritance for you has not been revoked. It is still waiting for you to step back into it. And notice, he did not have to work years to earn it back, he only had to return and receive it. The urgency of heaven is this: stop disqualifying yourself. For your inheritance does not depend on your perfection, but on his promise. Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to grasp that he already planned your provision before you knew your need. He already set aside your breakthrough before you saw the obstacle. He already secured your victory before the battle began. Nothing surprises him, nothing delays him, nothing cancels his will. Your inheritance is secure, but here is the mystery: an inheritance is useless if it remains unclaimed. A bank account in your name does not feed you if you never withdraw. A deed to land does not shelter you if you never step onto it. A will written in your favor does not change your life if you never claim it. This is why heaven is urgent. Child, rise and claim it now. Too many pray as though they are trying to convince God to release something he is reluctant to give. That is not prayer. True prayer is alignment. True prayer is claiming. True prayer is thanksgiving for what is already given. Your dad is not withholding. You are withholding yourself from believing. The urgency of heaven is telling you today that the table is already prepared, but you must sit and eat. The door is already open, but you must walk through. The garment is already woven, but you must wear it. The ring is already forged, but you must place it on your hand. Beloved, your inheritance is not only spiritual blessings, it also manifests in the natural. Do not limit God to the unseen. He is spirit, yes, but his spirit moves in real provision, real opportunities, real breakthroughs, real relationships, real healing, real peace that you can taste and see. Stop living with a mindset of scraps when heaven offers feasts. Stop praying like a beggar at the gates when you are the child who belongs in the house. Your dad in heaven urgently wants you to think like an heir, walk like an heir, speak like an heir, believe like an heir. This does not mean arrogance. It means alignment. It means you stop contradicting heaven with words of defeat. It means you stop sabotaging yourself with fear. It means you start acting as though the promise is true, because it is. Your inheritance is waiting, and heaven is urgently reminding you that every delay in your life is not because the Father is holding back, but because you have not fully stepped forward. Consider this: a prince may be heir to a throne, but if he refuses to rise, refuses to walk, refuses to sit on it, the throne will remain empty. Heaven urgently says to you, child, rise to your throne. You were not born to crawl when I made you to reign. You were not born to beg when I made you to command. You were not born to shrink when I made you to shine. Your inheritance is the authority to create with your words, to shape with your faith, to move mountains with your belief, to command peace in the storm, to call forth things that are not as though they were. Your inheritance is the power to live above circumstances, not beneath them. Your inheritance is the assurance that even in the valley you are not abandoned, that even in the fire you are not burned, that even in the flood you are not drowned, because your Father walks with you. That is inheritance, unshakable presence, unstoppable provision, undeniable power. So what must you do today? Claim it, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when the evidence shows up. Claim it now. Say to yourself, I am not waiting for heaven to decide. Heaven has already decided, and my inheritance is mine today. Walk as though it is yours, speak as though it is yours, act as though it is yours. That urgency you feel is heaven's voice saying, stop delaying your own abundance. Stop dishonoring the cross by living beneath its victory. Stop insulting the promises by living as though they are not already fulfilled. Your inheritance is waiting, beloved. Rise up, take it, live in it, and let the world see the glory of your Father shining through you. Heaven moves through faith, not fear, beloved. Hear this truth with all the weight of eternity. Your Dad in heaven has not built your life on the fragile foundation of fear, but on the unshakable rock of faith. And the urgent call of heaven today is that you must stop letting fear dictate your choices, your thoughts, your actions, your prayers, and begin to live fully in the current of faith. For faith is the only channel through which heaven flows. Fear paralyzes, but faith moves mountains. Fear blinds, but faith opens eyes. Fear shrinks you, but faith enlarges you. Heaven has never moved in response to fear. It only moves through faith, because faith is agreement with God, while fear is agreement with the enemy. Your Dad in heaven urgently wants you to realize that every time you choose fear, you are shutting the door to your inheritance. But every time you choose faith, you are unlocking the gates of heaven itself. Think about it. Fear sees the Red Sea and says, we are trapped. But faith sees the same Red Sea and says, stretch out your hand and watch God split the waters. Fear looks at Goliath and says, he is too big to defeat. But faith looks at Goliath and says, he is too big to miss. Fear looks at the fiery furnace and says, we will be destroyed. But faith says, even if the fire burns, our God is with us, and we cannot be consumed. The urgency of heaven is to tell you that your life cannot wait for you to keep choosing fear, because fear delays miracles, fear kills dreams, fear chains destinies, and fear blinds you to what heaven has already provided. Faith, on the other hand, pulls the unseen into the seen, calls the impossible into the possible, and gives substance to the invisible promises of God. Beloved, understand this clearly. Faith is not a feeling, it is a choice. You may feel fear pressing on every side, but you can still choose faith, because faith is not about the absence of fear. It is about refusing to bow to fear. Faith is the inner conviction that what God said is truer than what your eyes see, truer than what your ears hear, truer than what your circumstances scream. Heaven moves when you agree with that conviction. The woman with the issue of blood could have let fear stop her, fear of the crowd, fear of rejection, fear of punishment, but she chose faith, saying within herself, if I only touch the hem of his garment, I will be made whole. That inner faith pulled power from Christ, not because he saw her need, but because he saw her faith. Heaven does not respond to need alone. Heaven responds to faith. This is why many live in need but see no miracle, because they are waiting for God to pity them into blessing, but pity is not the currency of heaven. Faith is. Your Dad in heaven urgently wants you to rise from the posture of begging in fear to the posture of claiming in faith. Fear is the language of hell, but faith is the language of heaven. Which language will you speak? When you speak fear, you reinforce defeat. When you speak faith, you activate victory. That is why Scripture says, the just shall live by faith. Not visit faith occasionally, not practice it when convenient, but live by it. To live by faith means to make faith your oxygen, your atmosphere, your response in every situation. Heaven is urging you today. Stop waiting for fear to leave before you move. Step forward in faith, and fear will fade as you walk. The children of Israel delayed entering the promised land because of fear. They saw giants, they saw walls, they saw obstacles, and they said, "We are grasshoppers in our own eyes." That fear kept them wandering for 40 years, though their inheritance was already prepared. Do you see the urgency? Heaven is saying, do not wander another year, another month, another day because of fear. Step into faith now, because your promise is waiting. Beloved, fear is a liar, and its only power is persuasion. It cannot stop you unless you believe it. Faith, however, is truth, and its power is creation. It manifests what you dare to believe. Your dad in heaven urgently says, stop believing the lies of fear and start believing the truth of my word. When fear says you are weak, faith says you are strong. When fear says you are alone, faith says I will never leave you nor forsake you. When fear says the sickness will kill you, faith says by his stripes you are healed. When fear says the storm will drown you, faith says peace, be still. When fear says your future is ruined, faith says I know the plans I have for you. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. The urgency of heaven is that you must choose which report you will believe. But hear this also, faith is not denial. Faith does not close its eyes to the problem. Faith simply refuses to exalt the problem above God's promise. Faith sees the mountain, but knows the mountain must move. Faith acknowledges the storm, but knows the storm must bow. Faith does not pretend the furnace is not hot, but knows the fire cannot destroy. Faith looks reality in the eye and still declares, my God is greater. That is why heaven moves through faith, because faith is alignment with heaven's reality, while fear is submission to earth's illusion. Heaven cannot flow through fear, because fear contradicts the nature of God. God is love, and perfect love casts out fear. When you live in fear, you are living outside the consciousness of his love. But when you live in faith, you are rooted in love, and nothing can shake you. So what must you do, beloved? Feed your faith and starve your fear. Fear grows when you focus on the problem, when you feed on the news of the world, when you meditate on what could go wrong. Faith grows when you focus on the promises, when you feed on the word of God, when you meditate on what has already been secured in heaven. Heaven urgently tells you, change your diet. Stop feeding on fear. Start feeding on faith. Speak faith even when you tremble. Walk in faith even when you do not see. Pray in faith even when answers are delayed. Praise in faith even when the prison chains still hold, for your praise will shake the foundations and open the doors. Beloved, remember, without faith it is impossible to please God, not difficult, impossible. Why? Because faith is not optional. It is the only bridge between heaven and earth. Fear breaks the bridge, faith builds it. The Father urgently says, child, I have already given you everything, but you can only receive it by faith. Stop holding on to fear, for fear is the thief of your inheritance. Hold on to faith, for faith is the key to unlock what is already yours. Heaven moves through faith, not fear. Therefore, rise today and declare, I will no longer bow to fear. I will no longer let fear dictate my steps. I will no longer let fear silence my voice. I will walk by faith. I will live by faith. I will pray by faith. I will see by faith. I will claim my inheritance by faith. For my dad in heaven has urgently told me that faith is the path, and faith is the victory that overcomes the world. Beloved, heaven moves through faith, not fear. Choose faith and watch the doors of destiny swing wide open before you. The union of father and child, beloved, listen carefully with the ears of your spirit, for this is the greatest revelation your dad in heaven urgently desires you to grasp. You are not separated from him, you are not distant from him, you are not abandoned or forgotten, for you and the Father are one, and until you awaken to this truth, you will continue to live as though you are an orphan begging for scraps, when in reality you are the beloved child seated at his table, clothed in his glory, carrying his name and walking in his power. The urgent cry of heaven is this: stop seeing God as far away and start recognizing that his life flows through you, his spirit breathes within you, his voice speaks inside you, and his love surrounds you like the air you breathe. The union of father and child is not something you must earn. It is not a future reward. It is not a status reserved for the holy few. It is your present reality. It is your eternal identity. It is the unshakable bond that no sin, no failure, no demon, no trial, no circumstance can sever. Your dad in heaven wants you to awaken from the illusion of separation and know that every step you take, he takes with you, every battle you face, he faces with you, every prayer you utter, he answers from within you, because you and he are inseparable. Think of it, beloved, a child carries the DNA of the Father, and in the same way you carry the divine essence of your heavenly Father. You are not merely made by him, you are made of him. His image is stamped on you, his likeness radiates from you, his spirit animates you, and this is why heaven is urgent. For too long you have walked as though you are powerless when the fullness of his power lives within you. The enemy's greatest strategy is not to take away your inheritance, not to block your destiny, but to convince you that you and your Father are separate, because the moment you believe you are separate, you will live in fear, you will pray as a beggar, you will strive for what you already possess, and you will live in lack while carrying abundance inside. Your dad urgently says, "Child, you are not trying to get to me. You are in me and I am in you. You are not trying to attract my presence. You are my dwelling place. You are not trying to win my love. You are my love, for I have placed myself in you. This is the mystery of the union of father and child. It is not two beings trying to stay close. It is one life shared, one spirit flowing, one heart beating in harmony." When you awaken to this union, fear loses its grip, loneliness disappears, striving ends, and you begin to live from rest, knowing that everything you need is already present within you. The urgency of heaven is that you stop wasting years searching outside for what can only be found inside. Beloved, when Jesus walked the earth, he declared, "I and the Father are one." That was not arrogance, it was truth, and the same truth applies to you, because the same Spirit that was in him is now in you. The Father and the child are united in an unbreakable bond. This means you are never without wisdom, for the mind of Christ is in you. You are never without strength, for his power is made perfect in your weakness. You are never without guidance, for his Spirit leads you into all truth. You are never without love, for his perfect love is poured into your heart. Yet so many live as though they are disconnected, praying to a God they believe is far away in the clouds, when heaven is urgently whispering, "Look within, for I am closer than your breath. I am the thought that inspires you, the vision that guides you, the peace that steadies you, the fire that drives you. I am not visiting you occasionally, I am dwelling in you permanently." The union of father and child also means this: what belongs to him belongs to you. Just as a child bears the family name, you bear the authority of heaven. Just as a child has access to the house, you have access to the throne. Just as a child is an heir, you are a joint heir with Christ. The Father's resources are your resources. The Father's kingdom is your kingdom. The Father's victory is your victory. This is why heaven urgently wants you to stop living small. Stop limiting yourself. Stop praying weak prayers, as though you are a stranger knocking at the door. You are not a stranger, you are family, you are beloved, you are one with him. Pray with confidence, live with boldness, walk with authority, because your union with the Father guarantees that all that he is, you are in him. Beloved, union does not mean life will be without trials, but it does mean you will never face them alone. Union does not mean you will never walk through valleys, but it means the shepherd is in you, guiding you through. Union does not mean storms will never rise, but it means the one who calms storms dwells inside you, and this is why heaven is urgent, because too many crumble under pressure, forgetting that the father and child are inseparable. He is not outside trying to rescue you. He is inside empowering you. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead dwells in you. That is union, that is power, that is victory. The urgency of your dad in heaven is also this: awaken to the intimacy of this union. Stop treating God as a distant king and begin relating to him as a present dad. He longs for your fellowship, not your formality. He desires your heart, not your performance. He wants you to walk with him in the simplicity of love, to talk with him as naturally as you breathe, to listen to him not only in sacred moments but in the rhythm of daily life. This is the beauty of union. You do not leave him behind in prayer closets or in churches. You carry him wherever you go. In the marketplace, he is in you. In the workplace, he is in you. In the dark nights of confusion, he is in you. In the joy of celebration, he is in you. The father and child are never apart, and this realization transforms everything. Beloved, the union of father and child means your identity is secure. You are not defined by failures, labels, or wounds. You are defined by the one who lives in you. The urgency of heaven is for you to stop identifying yourself with your past and start identifying yourself with your union. Stop saying, I am broken, and start saying, I am whole in him. Stop saying, I am lost, and start saying, I am found in him. Stop saying, I am weak, and start saying, I am strong in him. Identity flows from union, and destiny flows from identity. If you know who you are in him, you will never settle for less than what he has prepared. So today, beloved, hear the urgent voice of your Dad in heaven. You are not alone. You are not separate. You are not empty. You are one with me. Walk in this union, live in this union, pray from this union, think from this union, and watch as heaven manifests through your life. The union of father and child is the greatest truth you can awaken to, for in that union you discover that everything you long for is already yours, and everything you fear has already been defeated. This is the urgent cry of heaven. Awaken, arise, and live as one with your Father, for you and he are inseparable, and this union is your victory, your inheritance, your peace, and your eternal joy.